There's a silence that comes after the storm, a space no one warns you about. It's not chaos, it's not heartbreak, it's the stillness, the unfamiliar calm that follows when someone walks away, when the noise stops, when the distractions fade, and you're left with yourself. You sit in the quiet, waiting for it to feel like peace, but at first it just feels like absence. The absence of their voice, the absence of their attention, the absence of noise that used to drown out your thoughts. It's in this silence that you realize you were never really alone. You were just never really with yourself. We spend so much of life trying to fill space. We jump from person to person, place to place, moment to moment, desperate to escape the ache of being alone. But what if you're not meant to escape it? What if you're meant to meet it, to sit with the discomfort, to stop running, to stop chasing, to look in the mirror and finally say, it's time I get to know the person who's been here all along. You've been through so much, things you never talk about, things you tried to bury under busyness and bad habits, things you thought you healed from, but really you just survived. And now you're being asked to return to those places, not to stay there, not to suffer, but to reclaim your power. Because here's the truth. Healing doesn't happen in the presence of everyone. Sometimes healing requires absence. The absence of the one who drained you, the absence of the noise that distracted you, the absence of validation from the people who never saw your worth. Sometimes healing requires solitude. It's in that quiet that you start to hear yourself again, the real you, not the version that pleases others, not the version that performs, but the one that whispers, I've been waiting for you. At first, it's uncomfortable because you're so used to being needed, so used to proving, so used to being seen through someone else's lens. But the more time you spend with yourself, the more you realize how sacred this space really is. There is something powerful about being alone, not lonely, but alone, and still feeling whole. No one can take that from you. Not a breakup, not a betrayal, not rejection, not silence. Because when you belong to yourself, you stop begging others to stay. You stop shrinking to be chosen. You stop breaking your own boundaries for temporary comfort. You realize that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the space where you remember who you are. It's where your values become clear. It's where you start asking better questions. What do I want? What do I deserve? What have I been giving away too easily? And the answers change everything. You stop settling, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. You stop needing someone to validate your worth because you've already given that gift to yourself. You stop chasing attention and start attracting peace. That's when everything shifts. You start building a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. You stop performing for love and start becoming love. You start choosing yourself, not because you're tired of others, but because you finally realize you're enough. Look at you now, choosing quiet over chaos, choosing depth over distraction, choosing growth over comfort. You've come further than you think. You're not the same person who once begged for the bare minimum. Now you're setting standards. Now you're creating boundaries. Now you're becoming the kind of person you once thought you had to find in someone else. That's the beauty of this part of your journey. You're no longer looking for someone to save you. You've learned to save yourself. You're no longer waiting for closure. You've learned to give it to yourself. You're no longer tolerating half love because you've remembered what full love feels like when it starts with you. And sure, there are still moments of longing, moments when the bed feels too big, when the nights feel too quiet, when you wonder if anyone will ever really see you fully and stay. That's normal, but the difference now is you don't abandon yourself in those moments. You hold your own heart, you stay, and that's what makes you powerful. You've become the home you were always searching for, and when the right people come, the ones who see you, hear you, choose you, you'll welcome them not from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness. You won't fear losing them because you've already found yourself. So if you're in that quiet place now, that space after the storm, don't rush through it. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Feel it. Let it show you who you are without the noise, because there is power in that stillness. Power in the woman who no longer chases. Power in the man who no longer performs. Power in the soul who has learned that peace isn't found in the presence of another, but in the presence of self. Let this be your season of becoming. Not because someone left, not because you were broken, but because you are finally ready to rise on your own, by your own, for your own. And when you do, everything you thought you lost will be replaced with something deeper. Self-respect, self-love, self-worth, unshakable, unbreakable, undeniable. You might not see it right now, but this moment, this quiet, heavy, messy moment, might just be the beginning of everything you've been waiting for. Not because it's perfect, not because it feels good, but because for the first time in a long time, you're being called to rise. You feel tired, confused, like you've been running on empty for longer than you care to admit. And maybe no one knows it. Not really. Because you've gotten good at wearing the mask. The one that says, I'm fine when your heart's in pieces. The one that smiles when you feel like screaming. The one that says, I can handle it even when you're barely holding on. But the mask is heavy and your soul is begging you to take it off, because here's the truth. You were never meant to pretend. You were meant to be real, to feel deeply, to break sometimes, and to come back stronger, not because you forced it, but because you chose to believe in yourself again, even when no one else did. Somewhere along the way, you lost trust in people, in life, in yourself. And who could blame you? Life has a way of testing the strongest hearts, of taking the very thing you thought you couldn't live without, of putting you in rooms where you feel invisible, of pushing you into places where your dreams feel foolish. But what if, hear me out, what if that pain wasn't meant to break you? What if it was meant to build you? See, the most powerful people you know, they didn't get there by coasting. They got there by surviving. They got there by failing, by crying, by questioning everything, and by choosing every single day to get back up when no one would have blamed them for staying down. They rose, and now so will you. Because here's what I need you to understand. You are not here by accident. You're here listening to this because something inside you still wants to believe. Something in you still hopes that this isn't the end, that there's more to your story, that you still have time, that your life isn't just a collection of pain and disappointment, and that something, that's your soul, that's your purpose. That's the part of you that refuses to be silenced. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next step. You don't need to wait until you're confident. You just need to be willing, because confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. You don't need to know how it ends. You just need to trust that every moment you show up for yourself is a seed being planted in the garden of your future. And I know you've tried before. You've given your all. You've bet on people who didn't bet on you. You've shown up with open hands and walked away with empty ones. You've loved, lost, and rebuilt more times than you can count. But you're still here. And there's something sacred about that, because it means there's more for you, more life, more love, more meaning. And it starts with you choosing to believe again. Let go of the timeline, let go of the pressure, let go of the lie that says you need to be farther ahead. You are not behind, you're becoming. And becoming takes time. It takes patience. It takes falling apart so you can come back together in a way that's more real, more you than ever before. You weren't born to fit in. You weren't born to be liked by everyone. You weren't born to settle for a life that looks good on paper but feels empty in your chest. You were born to live, to feel, to grow, to love fully even after being hurt, to believe even after being broken. And that kind of life, that kind of purpose, it's not given, it's chosen. Every day, in small ways, in private moments when no one's watching. That's where your power begins. And I want to say this clearly. You don't need to earn your worth. You don't need to be more successful to matter. You don't need to hustle for your healing. You are already worthy, right here, right now, even in your mess, even in your uncertainty, even in the silence where it feels like no one sees you. You are enough. And maybe that's the lesson this moment is trying to teach you. It's not about getting everything right. It's about not giving up. It's about showing up, scared, unsure, overwhelmed, and choosing to take the next breath anyway. That's courage. And courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know I'm not done. So here's what I need you to do. Stop waiting for permission to start, to speak, to dream again, to walk away from what hurts, to run toward what sets your soul on fire. Stop waiting to be ready, because ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Decide that you're worthy. Decide that your past doesn't define your future. Decide that now is the time, and then begin. Messy, imperfect, real. Start where you are with what you have, and trust that you are enough to carry it through, because you are. There will be setbacks. There will be days when doubt tries to pull you back, but there will also be moments where everything clicks, moments where your heart feels light again, moments where you meet people who feel like sunlight, moments where you feel more you than you ever have before. Hold on for those, live for those. They're coming if you don't give up now. You've already made it through things that were meant to destroy you, and here you are, not just alive, but waking up to your truth, to your value, to your power. Let this be the day you stop doubting your voice. Let this be the day you stop playing small. Let this be the day you decide to believe in the future that's still possible. Because your story isn't over, not even close. This is just the beginning. The beginning of the chapter where everything changes, where you stop surviving and start living, where you stop chasing and start attracting, where you stop seeking permission and start choosing yourself. Over and over and over again, you've got this.